Welcome to the ID channel, Islamic Empowering Trilogy. In this occasion, we will talk about whether Islam is rational or not. Recently, many atheists and agnostic figures have attempted to compare atheism with religion, and some have even launched a mental attack on religious figures. This is especially the case in the West, in America. These atheist speakers include like Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, Daniel Dennett, Carl Sagan, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and others. Moreover, like Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, and Christopher Hitchens has traveled the world challenging religion and disdefend whatever they may be found. These atheists argue that religion, which always consistently speaks of God and revelation in many places, these atheists say religion is a problem because it's man-made. Religion is considered as illusion, a lie, addiction, delusion, comfort to the soul from ignorance. Religion is a collection of myths, a source of evil, an escape for the weak and depressed, a means of satisfying the curiosity of the ignorance that will kill the soul and reason, and very assessment that the greatest or weaken the faith of the Muslim. All of these assessments are rational assessments according to them. Are all their assessments true? What is your opinion as a Muslim? Whatever you are, professor, PhD, doctor, or honors Kaza, whatever your title, as long as you are Muslim, this assessment is aimed at all of you as Muslims. Are all the assessment true, you think? Another professor of Islamic studies, Muslim bachelor degree holder, reformist Muslim intellectual, and Imam, Sheikh, Ustad, and all Muslim intellectuals seem to be largely unresponsive, even tending to remain silent. Why most of them are silent and don't respond? Moreover, the Muslim community as a lay community rarely, elegantly, and confidently confronts theists who insult religion and destroy their religious beliefs. Most of them, at least a lot of them, seem to be unaware or unwilling to pay attention, unaware or unwilling to take notice to this case. Don't they think about what the consequences will be on the future? If the Imams, Ulama, Ustad, and Muslim intellectuals had not reacted by holding various open discussions in various countries or by engaging in analytical responses to them by using various available media, this will be backfire, continuing to disturb and erode the hearts and faith of other Muslims in this world in general. Of course, I think if this continues unchecked, it could become a ticking time bomb, silently and without warning, causing many Muslims to abandon Islam and apostatize. This is very visible considering the continuous wave of atheist ideas and thoughts coming from various sources and media outlets incessantly, simultaneously, and massively in many countries. This can undoubtedly be deeply disturbing and unsettling, disrupting the comfort of religious life, which is highly disruptive and undesirable. In this context, they are generally not proactive, Muslim scholars who hold the titles of professor, doctor, PhD, and those who have honorary degrees, generally they are not proactive. On this occasion, it can be said that most Muslims who holds a title of professor, doctor, PhD, and who has the honor of honoris causa, the most of them are not proactive in facing this very strong wave of thought. Why are they like this? Isn't it like they say that they are scientists and adhere to Islam and say that Islam is true and Islam is a reasonable religion? But that too, if they still think that Islam is the true religion, that Islam is the religion that makes sense, if Muslim religious leaders refuse to defend or respond to those who constantly attack them, then don't blame many people if they conclude that Islam is irrational. I'm not blaming or urging Muslim leaders to define Islam. I'm simply saying this: if apostasy or a wave of rejection of Islam occurs, don't blame the atheists or agnostics. And let's not harbor hatred and hostility. Instead, let's open a healthy space for rational dialogue between atheists and theists. They, the atheists, think and act based on their concern and common sense. It's possible that what they have discovered is only what they consider rational for now. However, if Islam is indeed more rational and in line with their conscience, then we ask for guidance that Islam is rational. That's all. Conversely, atheists shouldn't feel superior and force their way, turning a blind eye to the possibility that Islam might one day explain its truth. And let's all uphold the truths of common sense and conscience. And in this regard, a clear stance is needed, especially a response from Muslim scholars. In today's postmodern era, there's no central point. Truths cannot be absolute. How to find the truth in the midst of the weekday news industry? Able to respond to internal arguments against ever-changing realities. Think about that. Okay, from all that, how do you understand it? Is Islam still considered rational? It also reminds me about the Islamization of science. You know that what is Islamization of science? Of course, I think you know. All of you know, I think. All of us know about that. You know that the Islamization of science is an effort to cleanse modern science of secular values, aligned with Islamic values, monotheism, and revelation. The main approaches include justifying science with Quranic verses. Sacralization, this means connecting nature with God, integration of science, formulation of Islamic paradigms, and a structural technical approach to the curriculum. And then the following are the main approach is to the Islamization of science, like instrumentalist, justification, sacralization, integration, paradigmatic, and epistemological. And right now, for this currents, how is Islamization of science movement today? And what's the news about the Islamization of knowledge? I think it was the clouder than 1977, And it's been over 45 years now. What are the results to that? Has the approach expanded and changed, or has there been no progress? Or is it that Islam as a scientific concept or paradigm can no longer be maintained? Okay, think about that. What do you think? Is Islam still rational, you think? And all of this also reminds me about from this I'm also reminded of my suspicion about Islamic philosophy that does Islamic philosophy have originality or not? I think here is a model of Islamic philosophy that is in accordance with the Islamic teachings, what is contained in the Quran. And this is Islamic philosophy model that match with Western philosophy paradigm. And what Muslim scholars agree on is the first model, namely the Islamic philosophical model. This means that what is claimed to exercise the Islamic philosophical model that continues Greek philosophy. But this existing Islamic philosophical model purely in accordance with Islamic teachings? My answer is there's no Islamic philosophy if it's true that Islamic philosophy is rational and can be accepted as pure philosophical paradigm. The question I want to ask is how can Islamic philosophy be built on only rationality without national religious values or any doctrine? And Islamic philosophy is also incompatible with the teaching of Quranic logic. In this case, I only ask one question. If God does exist, then the same being considered God cannot possibly contradict his own creation. Between rational logic, the logic of the universe, and the logic of the Quran. To all three things like that should be independent, autonomous, but at the same time complementary. Because they can complement each other, there's no contradiction. But why do some scholars reject rationality as an autonomous standard of truth? It's as if there's something seems wrong or concerning about rationality. Isn't it true that the universe and the Quran all originates from the same being? If this way of thinking is unacceptable, then how can I accept that Islamic philosophy is original and appropriate and derived from the teachings of the Quran and the Sunnah? If it does originate from the Quran and the Sunnah, then there should be a divine truth that is accepted by rationality. Of course, I think it makes sense. But in other words, the Quranic paradigm should be acceptable to rationality, but rather complement each other. Both should have an equal and proportional role in justifying God's truth. Although structurally hierarchically different, where the Quran is higher than the rational structure below it, both have their respective roles and complement each other. I think, therefore, there should be no room for conflict or rejection in any context. If there is, then the Quran and rationality are not from the same God. If this is the case, the hypothesis of God would collapse based solely on rational proof. My conclusion is that Islamic philosophy is A. Not pure philosophy. Pure, in this sense, defined here in accordance with the true nature of philosophy itself. That is, it uses only reason and is empirically proven. B. Not pure Islamic philosophy which is in accordance with the Quran. If Islamic philosophy can explain the logic of the universe in accordance with the logic of the Quran, then that is a sign that Islamic philosophy is in accordance with the Quran. And this is where Islamic philosophy attains its purity. So, don't even talk about discussing the originality of Islamic philosophy. The very fact that Islamic philosophy is called philosophy also needs to be reconsidered. It shouldn't be seen as merely a means of legitimizing or adapting philosophy to a contingent religion. Philosophy can only be justified if it rests on a foundation and utilizes the power of reason or rationality empirically proven. Even in the view of Orientalist Richard Rudolph, that Islamic philosophy is merely a continuation of Greek philosophy. Therefore, Islamic philosophy lacks originality that aligns with the Quran. According to some definition, Islamic philosophy is rooted in divine revelation, the Quran and Sunnah, as its primary sources, which are then analyzed by reason, while Western or traditional philosophy relies more on speculation by reason and the sense. Yet, when we discuss rational analysis, we must simultaneously experience it in our daily lives before we can analyze it. How can we experience the information of the Quran when it's all spiritual and doesn't exist in the physical universe or like in the physical world? This means that the physical world and its laws do not speak to the logic of the Quran. And doesn't our rationality work based on experience and the laws that apply and are in accordance with what already exists in the universe, where the universe is our teacher, as long as this knowledge can be applied in everyday life?